All right, hello guys, and welcome to the Sharma show. We are live, as you can see. I appreciate everyone that's in the comments already. I appreciate everyone who's joined us in the live chat. Great to have you here. We've got a fun video for you today, hopefully. Fun and long and tedious, because I wanted to use this video to make a point. But before I get into the video, I want to welcome all the new members of the Sharma Show YouTube community. It's great to have you on board. I hope I get to see some of your badges and some of your emojis in the live chat today. And if you guys haven't already, please go ahead and join the Discord server. The invite has been provided in the community tab. So welcome to all the new members. So today, we're going to talk about possibly the worst video that I have seen on this entire farm bills, farmers protest episode. Possibly the worst. I think this video was going for some kind of like a record. Maybe it was going for some kind of like a record for the most number of lies and the laziest journalism per minute or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. So the video, of course, that I'm going to be talking about is of this gentleman, celebrated fearless reporter, Mehdi Hasan. And before I talk about Mehdi Hasan and before I go into the video, I wanna ask you guys something. Welcome, members. Good to see you right there. I want to ask you guys something. So I've been thinking, am I going to be calling this guy by his name, or am I going to be going with something different? I was thinking, should I go with Tweedle Dumbass, or should I go with Sasta John Oliver? Whichever you guys think is nicer, whichever you guys prefer, let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, and we'll try to go with that one. So I'm going to start with Tweedle Dumbass, and we're going to go from there, all right? So let's talk about this video. This was a video, so to give you a little bit of a background before we jump into the video really, this is a guy that has his, he's a multimillionaire journalist who has his own show on Peacock, which is the streaming platform of NBC, which is one of the biggest networks in the United States. So let's talk about a little bit of background on our friend here, Mehdi Hasan. Mehdi Hasan used to work and really made his name and cut his teeth with Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, as many people might know, is a state-owned media, state-owned Qatari media. It is owned by the Qatari royal family and the Qatari government. And there was actually a really great report which was prepared by I believe it was the Department of Justice. This is a report prepared by the Department of Justice in pursuance of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And according to this report right here, if you look at the executive summary here, it'll give you a very good idea what the report is about. The report evaluates whether Al Jazeera is an agent of a foreign principal obligated to register with the Department of Justice pursuant to the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Now, if you look at this report right here, Qatar's media laws prohibit Al Jazeera from criticizing the Emir of Qatar that owns Al Jazeera and other Qatari leaders as well. As a result, Al Jazeera does not publish any articles that criticize Qatar's emir or government leaders. Not just that, the Qatari Al Jazeera has often been used by the Qatari government as almost like a foreign policy arm. Qatar has used Al Jazeera to support Iran. Qatar has also, and its brutal regime, Qatar has also used Al Jazeera to promote Hamas, openly support Hamas, which, as you may know, is a banned terrorist organization. Also, Qatar has used Al Jazeera to openly support the Muslim Brotherhood. The owner of Al Jazeera has generously donated to Muslim Brotherhood in the past. The Muslim Brotherhood spiritual leader, Yusuf Al Qaradawi, openly and freely lives in Doha in Qatar and has served in multiple leadership roles for the Qatari government as well. On top of that, the problems don't just end there. This is our fearless journalist Mehdi Hasan's previous employers. The Al Jazeera and its reporters have continually received backlash for broadcasting anti-Semitic content. Not very long ago, let me share this video with you so you can see it for yourself. I won't share the voice necessarily, but I'll share the video so you can get a look at the kind of content that these guys were sharing. This is a video from Canary Mission, and Canary Mission did an expose on Al Jazeera, where Al Jazeera was caught publishing anti-Semitic content in 2019. This is not a very long time ago. They published a video in which they were denying the Holocaust, as you see over here. Right there. This is the Arabic channel of Al Jazeera, AJ Plus Arabic, where they were clearly denying the Holocaust. On top of that, in this video, in this Canary Mission video, you'll see more examples of Al Jazeera and Al Jazeera's many reporters who are either denying the Holocaust, who are spreading conspiracy theories that Jews had been tipped off to 9/11, and they were busy comparing Zionism to Nazism. In 2012, an American journalist named Oren Kessler wrote a detailed report on the Middle Eastern Forum on Al Jazeera's anti-Israel sentiment and how it tends to invariably bleed into anti-Semitism as well. So this, before we even go into talking about the video that this gentleman made on the farmers' protest and on the farm laws, we need to first understand this gentleman's background so we can get a good idea of the kind of fearless journalism that he does. He never once questioned his employers. He never once questioned the administration that his government was working for and the kind of terrorist activities that his government was funding. So this is where we're coming from. This is how brave of a journalism he is. But where did he get this sudden, I suppose, reputation for being such a brave, fearless journalist? Well, he gets this reputation simply because he used to attack Trump. So if you attack Trump in America, you immediately are branded as a fearless, brave, extremely brave journalist. So we're going to watch a video of him today. And this is him talking about the farm laws and the farmers' protest. And you'll notice in this video something very interesting. What you'll notice in this video is that not once does he talk about the actual bloody bills. Not even once will you hear Mehdi Hasan discuss the actual bills. He will talk about everything else related to the farm bills and the farmers' protest, but do an actual discussion on the bills. So let's start watching, and we'll pause, at times in the middle, and we'll discuss further. So here we go.
Earlier this week, Rihanna grabbed global headlines when she posted this viral tweet. Why aren't we talking about this? #farmers protest, with a link to a CNN article about the Indian government shutting down the internet around the capital, New Delhi, where there have been largely peaceful protests by farmers, some violent.
That's such a great line. Peaceful protests, some violent. Well, it's either a peaceful protest or it's not a peaceful protest. Like, make up your mind. It can't be, it can't be both. It can't be a peaceful protest and it can't be a violent protest. Like, honestly, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was this meme that really went viral on the internet during the summer, during the Black Lives Matter protest. And it was this one right here. Fiery but mostly peaceful protest after police shooting. That's what this reminds me of. This whole peaceful but some violent. In that case, that has been the reaction of the police as well. Like, people keep complaining about how the police has been attacking the protesters, how the police has been extra fascist and it's been extra violent. People have been sharing videos about the police clashing with the protesters. Well, in the police's case as well, their reaction to the protests have been mostly peaceful, some violent, according to Mehdi Hasan's logic. They only got violent when the farmers got violent, when the protesters got violent. Then why are we painting the Modi government and the police's reaction as authoritarian? ये भी तो सवाल बनता है ना? So, all right, let's keep watching.
Indian government's reaction or overreaction to Rihanna's tweet didn't really help their cause. The foreign ministry huffed the temptation of sensationalist social media hashtags and comments, especially when resorted to by celebrities and others, is neither accurate nor responsible. And
how is that huffing? Like, genuinely, how is that huffing? Huffing would have been if they called her some kind of an anti-national, if they called her some kind of an international terrorist or something like that. Like, that's huffing. How is just saying that a foreigner and a celebrity, a singer who doesn't know anything about the farm bills, maybe should be more careful and maybe should use her absolutely gigantic platform with a little bit more responsibility when she's talking about sensitive things that are happening in other countries? I don't understand how that is huffing. Like, what should Modi have done? Is the only reaction to some celebrity saying something dumb about India that Modi needs to resign? We need to make Rihanna the new prime minister of India, and Modi needs to reopen Kalapani prison and throw himself in there. Like, what is the appropriate reaction to when a giant celebrity from overseas tweets something extremely dumb about India? I don't understand. Like, what do you want? All right.
Indian police, I kid you not, have filed a case against climate activist Greta Thunberg for also daring to tweet in support of the farmers. Rihanna's right.
So you can understand why Qatar hired him. You can understand why Al Jazeera hired him. Like, it's a talent to be that shameless and basically say anything for money and influence and power. Like, I feel people like him are the reason that the word prostitute exists, that the word prostitute came into power. You know what I mean? And you will see this is a completely wrong claim. And you'll see that during the course of this video, he will continue to make wrong and unverified claims. The whole claim about Greta Thunberg and the police has filed a case on Greta Thunberg for her tweet supporting the farmers, it's completely wrong. That's not what the police case has been filed for. That's not why the police is examining what Greta Thunberg has done. What the police is examining is that deleted toolkit that she shared. But Mehdi won't say that, obviously, because if he starts talking about that deleted toolkit, then the argument that he's trying to build against India and against the Indian government completely starts to collapse. Right? So the charges are because there was a toolkit that showed a very well organized, pre-planned, well-funded strategy of putting pressure on the Indian government and destabilizing the Indian government and undermining the Indian democracy. The toolkit, if you look at it, I'll leave some links in the description. It talks about, physical actions near Indian embassies, global offices, media houses, even Ambani, Adani offices on the 26th of January. It clearly talked about supporting the actions that the protesters took on the 26th of January. And how they tried to whitewash them, how they tried to brush them under the carpet, how even certain sections tried to justify the violence and vandalism that happened on the 26th of January. The toolkit openly talks about how India's democracy is failing and how India is running headlong towards fascism. None of these claims have any proof. And if these kinds of completely unverified claims are treated as the truth by media houses and multimillionaire journalists with their own shows on a massive American network, then even I can make unverified claims. Even I can talk about how Mr. Mehdi Hasan or Sasta John Oliver likes to wear women's underwear under his work clothes and at home. Now, I don't have any proof to back that up, But neither does he for all the claims that he's making, and neither do the people that wrote the toolkit. That's why this police is investigating the stuff that was posted in Greta Thunberg's tweet. The stuff like the organizations that were involved, organizations like Extinction Rebellion, which is a very far left environmental organization whose one of the stated goals on their website is the eventual collapse of Western democracy. This organization that is apparently funded by people like George Soros and their Open Society Foundation. It also includes involvement of separatist Khalistani groups like the Poetic Justice Foundation, whose co-founder is a self-declared Khalistani. The co-founder of this organization, let me share a tweet here so you can see. This is a tweet. In fact, this is a Facebook post, my apologies, from the co-founder of Poetic Justice Foundation. This is Mehdi Hasan, and he says, I'm a Khalistani. You might not know this about me. Well, now we do. Why? Because Khalistan is an idea. Khalistan is a living, breathing movement, a movement towards an independent Punjab rooted in the Anandpur Sahib resolution, a beautifully progressive and what? A beautifully progressive and optimistic doctrine for self-governing state if there ever was one. How is this a beautiful and progressive doctrine, bro? The Khalistan movement was a violent insurgency that aimed to dismember India into several pieces and create an independent nation of Khalistan by dismembering India. It was a violent insurgency that claimed the lives of thousands of innocent people, most of whom were Sikhs themselves. And this fellow, Mehdi Hasan, is also very close with certain Canadian politicians like Jagmeet Singh, who is one of the darlings of the woke crowd at the moment. And Jagmeet Singh has also not done enough or worked enough to distance himself from Khalistanis like Mehdi Hasan. PJF itself, the Poetic Justice Foundation that is run by Mehdi Hasan, itself supported the attack on the Red Fort. They shared this article on their Twitter page before their Twitter page got restricted. And the article clearly, openly, let me see if I can find this for you. Here it is, right here. This article here, was shared by the Poetic Justice Foundation, which again openly says that we should not apologize for the Nishan Sahib at the Lal Killa. Apologizing for the Nishan Sahib at the Lal Killa dismisses what has been at the core of the farmers' protest since day one, the Sikh spirit. So then again, no need to apologize for the vandalization of the Lal Killa, according to the Poetic Justice Foundation as well. These are the kind of people that were involved in the leaked toolkit that was accidentally leaked by Greta Thunberg. So this is what we're dealing with. These are the kind of people that we're dealing with. And the print recently came out with an article as well, where the print apparently said that according to the print's sources, is Poetic Justice Foundation, along with a PR firm named Skyrocket, had actually paid Rihanna's camp to tweet whatever the hell she tweeted. So here it is. According to sources, it was Skyrocket that allegedly paid $2.5 million to pop star Rihanna to tweet in support of the farmers' protest in India. Dhaliwal, the sources says, is a Canada-based Sikh who is a self-proclaimed Sikh separatist and also close to Jagmeet Singh. This is why it's being looked at by the police, and it really should be looked at by the police. If there is, let's flip that around. If Russia was working with terrorist sympathizers and terrorist organizations and was paying non-governmental organizations in India and celebrities in India to tweet about how America is racist, how America's democracy is failing, how America is running headlong into fascism, and was spreading this targeted, proved disinformation campaign, do you not think that the US intelligence agencies should be looking into it? Do you not think that the US law enforcement agencies should be looking into it? Of course they should be looking into it, because that's exactly what they were doing with the whole Russiagate scandal for 4 years. Eventually, nothing came of it, but everybody, I remember, everybody and their dog supported that, oh, we need to look into Russia's role in hacking the US elections in 2016. We need to look into Russia's role in how they helped Donald Trump win. So you're allowed to look into it, right? So that's exactly what they did. So I don't understand why the United States can look into these things, but for India, it's not allowed to look into these things. Kyun bhai? Poor people, dirty people. That's why.
Right. We should be talking about all this. So let's talk about it. Because there is shared DNA between what's happening in India and what we've experienced in the US under Trump. Millions of Indian farmers and labor groups across the country have been protesting against what they say are 3 pro-corporate, anti-worker agricultural bills passed by the right-wing BJP government of Narendra Modi. It's part of Prime Minister Modi's bid to further liberalize and grow the Indian economy. But farm workers say the new laws will make it easier for corporations to exploit their industry and drive down prices. Already hundreds...
All right. Again, this is the trend here. You will see that in this entire video, not once is this guy going to talk about the actual bills. He just will not discuss it. He doesn't want to talk about these bills. Neither does he want to get like some knowledgeable people from India that actually know about the bills. You know, farm experts, people like Ashok Gulati, people like Surjit Bhalla, who have been studying the farm sector in India for decades. He's not going to talk to them so they can help explain what these bills are actually about. He's not even going to talk to like somebody from the government, somebody who's like an economic advisor to the government, who maybe had an input in forming these farm laws. People like Sanjeev Sanyal, who's a very knowledgeable guy and who's worked with the government. Talk to him. Talk to him about, okay, what is the government thinking when it's bringing in these laws? What is the rationale behind bringing these laws? He's not going to do either that, nor is he going to talk about these bills himself. He's just going to be like, well, farmers have said so. Abhi bhaiya, tum kya bol rahe ho? What are you saying? You're this big fearless journalist with this massive show, with this all huge amount of money behind you, with probably a huge research team behind you as well. Talk about the farm laws a little bit too. Because the problem is that once you start talking about the farm laws, once you start getting, down and dirty with what actually these bills are about and why these farm laws have been passed, then you have to start talking about how the people protesting are mostly from the dominant Jat communities in Punjab and Haryana. You're going to need to talk about how the land of the Mazhabi and Ramdasiya Sikhs was forcibly grabbed in the 60s and the 70s by these dominant castes. How the lower caste Sikhs, how the Dalit Sikhs are nearly 50% of the population in Punjab, but they only have 3% of cultivable land. How they're at the mercy of these dominant castes and these big farmers and the Arhatiyas. How Punjab is heading towards an environmental crisis and how its water table has been completely decimated due to the overproduction of the kind of crops that MSP is provided for. All of those things will need to be talked about, even in the leak toolkit. Even if you go take a look at the toolkit that Greta Thunberg accidentally leaked, there wasn't one single link in that toolkit which will take you to some website or some link somewhere to some web page that gives you a detailed explanation of the farm bills. Not even a single one. Why? Because talking about the farm bills will completely destroy the narrative of fascism, of this brutal, undemocratic country that they're trying to build. That entire edifice will completely collapse. These laws are bad. Kyun? If you ask them, ki, bhaiya, why do you think these laws are bad? Why is Mehdi Hasan saying these laws are bad? Bas hai. Tere ko pata nahi hai, lekin bas hai. It's like that bloody meme from Roadies. Ki bhai, tu fascist hai. Kyun? Tere ko pata nahi hai, lekin tu hai. That's basically what we're doing here.
Hundreds of thousands of farmers and farm laborers have committed suicide in the past 30 years over crushing poverty and debt. Hence these protests.
Wait. What? What is he talking? The farm laws have not even come into full practice yet, full existence yet, right? Then how are the farmers committing suicide for the past 30 years related to the laws that haven't come into full effect yet? How can you blame farmer suicides for the last 30 years on bills that haven't even come into full effect? Like, did the farmers have a time machine back in the day? Did they come to 2020? Did they see the farm bills and they were like, yeah, ye farm bills are cheniye, I don't like them. And then did they go back to 1995 and commit suicide? What do you... Seriously, my guy here is talking out of his ass to like a whole new dimension.
At one point were being described as the single largest protest in human history, upward of 250 million people on strike in a single day.
Where... Yeah, this video, man, honestly, it's just, again, this entire video is just claims. Entire video is claims, while absolutely no proof is provided to back up these claims. So once again, I'm saying, guys, remember, Mehdi Hasan, I've heard there's a claim that Mehdi Hasan likes to wear women's underwear under his work clothes and at home. And I've also heard claims that he has several women locked up in his basement. Now, I have absolutely no proof, zero, zilch, no proof to prove this. But these are claims. These are unverified claims, just like Mehdi Hasan wants to make. And how is this? Where are you getting this 250 million number from? Where are you getting it from? I have no idea where you're getting it from. So if you look at the entire population of the state of Punjab, it's around 26, 27 million. The entire population of the state of Haryana is around 25 million. And some farmers from Western UP are also involved. So let's say around another 10 million. So you have a total number of around 60 million protesters. That is assuming if every single man, woman, and child from Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh have left their homes, left their jobs, left their schools, and are sitting at the Delhi border. In that case, being extremely generous here, in that case, we are looking at a number which is around 60 million. Still, you're about 200 million people short. Kahan se aa raha hai bhaiya? Where are you getting this number of 250 million from? Like, you literally pulled 200 million people right out of your ass. ऐस है कि भैया अली बाबा की गुफा है, क्या बना रखा है तुमने ऐस को अपनी? कहां से इतने सारे लोग निकाले भैया, ये भी बता दो. It's bloody amazing.
But look, whatever your views are on the protesters' demands, and personally, I think putting India's hard-hit farmers at the mercy of global corporations probably isn't the wisest move right now. It's the Indian government.
Why isn't it the wisest move? Like, the whole reason why the farmers are in the situation that they are is because the farm sector has completely stagnated. The farm sector has some structural problems that is affecting Punjab farmers in a massive way. Why is the farm, you're saying that the farm sector is really hard hit. Well, tell us why the farm sector is really hard hit, and tell us what we can do to fix the farming sector. You're saying the farm sector is really hard hit and the farmers are struggling really badly, but leave the status quo as it is. Don't fix anything. Don't change anything. Then how the hell is it going to help the farmers? You're saying that we need to help the farmers. How are farmers going to get help if they're already in a bad situation with the status quo? Bhaiya, kuch sense hi nahi banta yaar. The millionaire journalist who has his own show on a gigantic United States network is going to talk about the farm bills without ever actually talking about the farm bills. Oh my God.
Response to the protests that should concern us. Everyone from the United Nations to international human rights groups.
All right. So again, because we can't talk about the farm bills, because we can't really talk about why these farm bills are bad, we're going to make this all about Hindutva and authoritarianism. It is a very commonly used strategy in journalistic circles around the world. The same thing happened in every single award wapasi, Lynchistan narrative, everything. You're not actually going to focus on the facts. You're going to make everything about Hindutva and fascism and authoritarianism and Modi, and that gives you a stick to beat India with.
Have urged Modi to respect peaceful protests. Though it's worth pointing out that Amnesty International can't even
Yeah, they will respect the protests, and they have been respecting the protests. The police has respected the protests as long as they are peaceful. Think about it. For 3 months nearly, these protesters have illegally blocked important arterial roads that come into Delhi. That is not their right. That is not anywhere written in the constitution that if you don't like something, if you don't like a law, you can just descend upon the streets and block the entire street. You cannot hinder other countrymen's right to free movement. That is not your right. On the 26th of January, a large section of these farmers broke barricades, attacked police personnel. Over 150 police officers got injured. And then they went in and desecrated the Red Fort. Do you think that they have the right to do that? Before the UN starts talking out of its ass, and before Sasta John Oliver here starts talking out of his ass, we need to understand that do protesters in these developed countries, do protesters in America have the right to forcibly block roads and attack important buildings? When that happened in the United States, you called it an insurrection. But in India, भैया ठीक है, क्योंकि poor people, hungry people, मेरे को गरीब लोग देखने का है. We know better than the Indians, right? That's the whole idea here. And speaking about this
to
organization,
peaceful protests, though it's worth pointing out that Amnesty International can't even operate in India anymore.
Yeah, because Amnesty International was never registered in India under the FCRA, which is what is needed if you're going to be receiving foreign donations, which Amnesty International was. It was receiving foreign donations, but it never bothered to register under FCRA. So, bhaiya, if you break Indian laws, then how do you expect to operate freely? If I go to the United States and if I go to Britain and if I break American laws and if I break British laws, I can't expect to freely work in Britain and America, can I? My goodness, dude. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Again, I feel like I can't stress this enough. This is a multimillionaire journalist who has his own show on a major American network. I can't stress that enough. All right.
And journalists covering the protests have been arrested, and the farmers themselves have been smeared as anti-national, as foreign-backed, as enemies of the state. And by the way, unlike in the US, where Hollywood stars were front and center in the hashtag resistance to Trump, in India, Bollywood stars have lined up behind Modi. The multi-award-winning actress Kangana Ranaut tweeted back at Rihanna.
Okay, one Bollywood star tweeting in favor or against the protests is the entire Bollywood lining up behind Modi, behind the government. Saurabh Bhaskar also works in Bollywood. Is she a Modi supporter? Vishal Dadlani also works in Bollywood. Is he a Modi supporter? Anurag Kashyap also works in Bollywood. Is he a Modi? Dude, honestly, man, the level of journalism in this show.
Calling her a dummy and calling the farmers terrorists. Charming.
All right. I think what's only fair is to point out that I don't agree with Kangana Ranaut's words there, obviously. She's absolutely wrong, in my opinion, to paint all farmers as terrorists, because they're obviously not. She's obviously completely wrong to paint the entire farmers' protest as a terrorist protest. It's wrong. It's absolutely untrue. And it does a massive disservice to the Sikhs of this country and to the other farmers that are participating from other parts of the country in these protests as well. That is absolutely untrue. Look, I'm a big admirer of what Kangana has achieved in Bollywood without any institutional support as a woman. I'm a big admirer of that. But unfortunately, she has been tweeting a lot of crap recently. And the so-called right wing should really be careful about making her or someone like her their unofficial spokesperson. Don't make anyone in Bollywood your unofficial spokesperson. Be careful, is all I'm saying. All right.
And look, this goes beyond farmers' protests.
Of course,
democracy's
because
descent
talking
into
about the farmers' protest is going to destroy the entire argument. So we can't talk about the farmers' protest. We have to talk about other things.
authoritarianism has accelerated in recent years. The right-wing nationalist government of Narendra Modi has revoked the special status of Indian state Jammu and Kashmir and locked up hundreds of Kashmiris, mainly Muslims, without trial. It's passed a law offering a path to citizenship for refugees and undocumented immigrants as long as they're not Muslim. And it's building detention camps in the state of Assam for Indian citizens accused of being illegal immigrants. Again.
All right, let's talk about the 371. The whole problem and the reason 370 was abrogated by the Indian government was because it was betraying the promise that the Indian government made to its people, the promise of one nation, one constitution. Under Article 370 in Kashmir, one specific community had been provided extra privileges, had been provided political power. All the political power in the state of Jammu and Kashmir had been concentrated in the hands of this one specific community. As a result of which, rights were taken away from women, rights were taken away from the quote-unquote lower caste, the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. Rights were taken away from Shias, rights were taken away from Buddhists, rights were taken away from Hindus, rights were taken away from Sikhs, not to mention the genocide of the Hindus that happened close to 30 years ago. All right. But I don't need to talk about any of those things because I'm a big journalist that works for NBC in America. And also talking about NRC. NRC was a long-standing demand of the Assamese people, much before the BJP even came onto the scene. NRC was a long-standing demand of the Assamese people that was promised to them by the Congress party during the Assam Accord. And the detention centers, these detention camps have been ordered by the Supreme Courts and have been built by the Congress party. In 2011, the Assamese government, when the Congress was in power in both the center and the state, remember, had set up these detention camps. Here is the link to that so you can see for yourself. Because unlike Sasta John Oliver, I'm not a big journalist. I don't have the kind of resources that he has. But at the same time, I somehow have the ability to do a basic Google search and find such basic information on my own. Here it is. Here's a tweet from Amit Malviya. See this press release from 2011 issued by the Congress government claiming to have sent 362 illegal migrants to detention camps in Assam. So Congress was already busy building detention camps in Assam much before the BJP ever came to the scene in Assam. But उसके बारे में भी थोड़ी बात कर लो ना. लेकिन उसके बारे में बात कैसे करेंगे यार? If we start talking about that, then this entire, like I said again, edifice collapses. Journalism is so easy when you don't have to provide any proof for what you're saying. Again, such a huge show on such a huge network in America has basically no standards and practices when it comes to their news shows. It's bloody unbelievable, to be honest.
Mostly Muslims. On Modi's watch, according to Freedom House, the world's biggest democracy is now one of the world's least free democracies, drawing comparisons to China and getting rapidly less free by the year.
Right.
Why should this matter to us in America?
India is basically the same thing as China. Very good. Great journalism again.
Aside from for the obvious moral reason.
What is that green screen though, man? Like I honestly want to see that green screen for a second. What is that green screen? Why is there a table and a chair in that? Is that supposed to be like his table and chair? No, there's another one right next to him, right there. It's a weird green screen. Sorry, that's a weird thing to nitpick about, but that's a strange green screen. Anyway.
Reasons. Well, remember, Trumpism didn't come out of a vacuum.
Aha.
There is a far right.
See, and it comes back to this, right? The reason why mainstream media is dying is because of shows like this, is because of journalists like this, is because The New York Times and many other mainstream organizations, whether in India, whether in the United States, had completely lost the plot over the past many years. They're willing to bend the facts, even break the facts, as long as they're able to paint the people that they do not like in a negative light, which is why mainstream media is dying. And now in 2021, Trump is gone. There's no more Trump to attack. So what are these organizations going to do to survive? भाई जिंदा कैसे रहेंगे? खाना पानी कैसे चलेगा? दाल पानी कैसे खाएंगे? So they need to find a new Trump. They need to find a new person to call Hitler. And today, that person is Modi.
Authoritarian movement that is globally on the march. Modi and his right-wing nationalist governing party, the BJP, are as much part of that, if not more so, as Trump and the modern GOP. In fact, Modi himself was a lifelong volunteer for a Hindu nationalist paramilitary group called the RSS, which was inspired by the Nazis and other European fascist parties.
No freaking way. Inspired by the Nazis? That's crazy. Again, same setup. The setup never changes. It is the exact same setup. You make a claim that you provide absolutely no background for, absolutely no proof for. Claim karo, aage badh jao. Say something completely outlandish, provide absolutely no proof, and then move on and treat it like the truth. Provide absolutely no proof as to why you made that claim. So again, I would like to also make a claim. I claim that I have heard this claim that Mehdi Hasan likes to wear women's underwear under his work clothes. And I've also heard these claims that he has a number of women tied up in his basement. Again, I have no proof to back up this claim. Absolutely zero. And it would really, really, really suck if somebody started to trend these things on social media. If people started talking about it on social media, about how he likes to wear women's underwear. That would really, really suck. Because I have absolutely no proof. So please, guys, do not do that. Please do not share this claim on social media at all. I beg you. All right? Okay. And look, now that this topic has actually come up, I think this is a very good time to actually talk about this claim that RSS and the Hindu movement has somehow been inspired by Hitler, inspired by Nazis, and that RSS and Hindutvawadis used to absolutely love Nazis. So let's break down this claim, because where does this claim come from? Does anybody know where this claim comes from? This claim basically comes from Guru Golwalkar's book. Right? He wrote a book which is called We, Our Nationhood Defined. This book was completed in 1938. This was the year before the Holocaust and before the world started to even find out about the various atrocities that were being committed on the Jewish people by the Nazi Party and Hitler, right? So Konrad Elst, who's an Indologist, he's actually done a really good amount of work in debunking this entire theory. And he wrote an article, he wrote a blog post on his website, which really goes into this entire thing in a lot of detail. So let's look at how he explains it. So according to Konrad Elst, the entire edifice of how apparently Hindu nationalists or Hindutva people support Nazis or love the Nazis, that entire edifice is based on a couple of quotes that come from Guru Golwalkar's book. One of those quotes is, "To keep up this purity of race and its culture, Germany shocked the world by purging the country of the Semitic races. Race pride at its highest has been manifested here. Germany has also shown how well nigh impossible it is for races and cultures having differences going to the root to be assimilated into one united whole, a good lesson for us in Hindustan to learn and profit by." Right? That's what he says. He says he is envisioning the same problems between the Hindus and the Muslims here, because when you have differences between two communities that go down to the very root, it is very, very difficult to integrate them into one united country. That's what he believed. Now, you could say that what he believed was wrong, that what he believed was spurious, and that many democratic countries have proved that people from different cultural backgrounds can actually coexist. But you have to note here as well that nowhere in his book does Guru Golwalkar once talk about racial purity and make a plea for it. Not even once in his book does he ever talk about how we need to have racial purity in India. The Hindus need to have racial purity. Not even once in his book does he talk about Hitler and what Hitler did as a source of inspiration. These things that he found Hitler as a source of inspiration, this was attributed to him by an Indologist named Christoph Jafferlot in his book, The Hindu Nationalist Phenomenon. He wrote this book in which he essentially attributed these feelings to the quotes that Guru Golwalkar was making. This is the book, The Hindu Nationalist Movement by India. This is written by Christoph Jafferlot. This is where this entire narrative that BJP and RSS and Hindutva nationalists used to support the Hitler and the Nazi party comes from. Who did the Hindutva nationalists and the Hindutva people actually support? Who did they look up to? They did used to look up to European nationalists, but it wasn't the Nazis and it wasn't Hitler. Who these people used to look up to were Italian nationalists like Giuseppe Mazzini and Giuseppe Garibaldi. These were revolutionaries who had fought to unite Italy, for the unification of Italy. In fact, Giuseppe Mazzini had created the Young Italy Party, which was then emulated in India by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar when he had created Abhinav Bharat or New India. These were the people these guys were influenced by. Hindus wanted to emulate these people and create an independent, unified India. M.S. Ane, who wrote the foreword for Golwalkar's book, he wrote how the most important Western influence on Hindu nationalist movement was the Italian nationalist Giuseppe Mazzini, by common consent still considered as the greatest interpreter of nationality. Lala Lajpat Rai had written a biography on Mazzini. Surendranath Banerjee had written about Mazzini as well. And Savarkar himself had translated Mazzini's autobiography into Marathi in 1907. None of these people ever wrote a biography of Hitler. None of these people ever wrote a biography of the Nazi party. This is who they wrote a biography of. And Giuseppe Mazzini, after he unified Italy, had created a democratic, unified Italian nation many, 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 many years before the rise of Mussolini. But none of this, Mehdi Hasan or any other journalist or any other of those people that claim that they're inspired by fascists, none of these people are going to tell you the truth. This is the truth right here. Guru Golwalkar wanted the Muslims to identify with India. They wanted the Muslims to identify with their Hindu heritage, with their Hindu history, rather than their transnational identity of the global ummah. That's what Golwalkar wanted. That's what Savarkar wanted. Hitler wanted to disidentify the Jews that were already assimilated into German society and German nation and push them back into their transnational, communal identity of the global Jewry. Where's the similarity? The ideologies of these two people and what they want with their minorities are polar opposites of each other, complete polar opposites of each other. None of these people ever extolled Hitler or the Nazis like this. But again, if you tell the truth, if you say that it was actually Giuseppe Mazzini, then this entire Nazi facade will fall down. It'll get destroyed. Then you'll have to start talking about the truth. And finally, when we talk about RSS and Hindutva leaders and their ideologies and what they used to believe, aren't people allowed to evolve their views? Is that not something that people are allowed to do? The views that they had when they were 20 years old are the same views that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. Guru Golwalkar changed his views about the Muslims. RSS even pulled Guru Golwalkar's book out of publication in 1948. The current RSS's view on Muslims is completely different. In fact, if you look at people like Mohan Bhagwat and the kinds of things that he says about the Muslims. He says there can never be any Hindu Rashtra without Muslims. There can never exist an India without Muslims. If we lose the Muslims, then we lose a part of ourselves. That's what the current RSS is saying, right? But you know, you're not going to show any of that. Back in the day, Jack Kennedy, who was the US president, one of the most beloved US president, when he was a student, he went to Europe. And when he went to Europe, he wrote a letter back to his parents. And in that letter, he said to his parents that I have traveled through Europe and I have found that communism is the right system for Russia, fascism is the right system for Italy and Germany, and democracy is the right system for England and the United States. But nobody calls John F. Kennedy a Holocaust supporter or a Nazi supporter. Nobody says that because he evolved his views when he understood things more, when he became smarter, right? Similarly, Obama and Hillary Clinton were both against gay marriage early in their careers. Both of them only changed their views after they saw that there was overwhelming public support in favor of gay marriage. Then they both came around and said, "Oh, I've always loved gay people. I've always supported gay marriage," right? Should we still keep calling them homophobes, even though they changed their views, even though they now support gay marriage? Should we still keep calling them homophobes? It is not fair. But according to Sasta John Oliver, everybody is allowed to change their opinion except for Hindus. Because poor people, hungry people, dirty people, that's what we want to see India as. India is never or should never be allowed to change. Right? That's where we're at. All right, let's keep watching. And remember, guys, I will take super chat questions, but let's finish up this video, and then I'll try to take some of your super chat questions as well. All right. All right, let's do this.
Trump, of course, embraced Narendra Modi. He rolled out the red carpet for him to massive fanfare at the Howdy Modi rally in Houston, Texas in 2019. And a year ago this month, Trump happened to be in New Delhi as Hindu nationalist mobs and police attacked and killed Muslims protesting against the citizenship law. But Trump didn't offer one word of condemnation.
आगे फिर से yet another claim, and yet another claim for which absolutely no proof is provided. So the claim is that innocent Muslims were protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act, and Hindu nationalists and the police descended upon them and murdered a bunch of them, right? This is the claim that's being made. Does he have any proof? No, he has absolutely no proof. So I'm going to reiterate the claim that I have heard as well. The claim that Mr. Hasan wears women's underwear, puts a baby's pacifier in his mouth while he watches the women on TV that he has locked in his basement. Again, I have absolutely no proof. There's no way I can prove this claim, but this is a claim that I have heard. And again, guys, it would really, really, really suck if people started trending these claims on social media. Please don't do that, because there's absolutely no proof for this claim that I'm making. So please do not share this on social media whatsoever. All right? Okay. So this claim that he's making about how Hindu nationalists came down and murdered a bunch of Muslims, what is the easiest way to debunk this claim? The easiest way to debunk this claim is to simply look at the list of the victims of this violence, right? If you look at the victims of the Delhi riots, you will get a good sense of what was actually happening there. So let me share that list with you right here. And this is not from some right-wing organization. This is from the print. The print is in no way some kind of a crazy right-wing organization, right? So let's have a look here. If we look at Is my stream freezing? Is my bloody stream freezing? Wow. Guess what, guys? Unfortunately, I found that George Soros has hacked into my stream and frozen it. So for some reason, my stream completely froze. No idea why. Yeah, I just saw that. I just saw that too. It just completely froze, and I have no bloody idea why it froze. Yeah, looks like Mehdi digital strike kasam se bhaiya. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Hassan Mehdi hacked bhaiya kasam se. No idea what the hell happened. But anyway, let's get back to it, right? Let's try to get back to this. Let's try to share the screen and let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So this comes to us from the print. This is an article of all the people that were killed in the Delhi violence. This is a list of all of those people. So let's look at some of the people in here, right? Let's look at some of the names. Names: Mehtab, Akbari, Mahroof Ali, Musharraf, Prem Singh. Well, that's a weird Muslim sounding name. Unknown. Was initially identified as Mohsin but is unknown. Ratan Lal. Oh, that's another strange Muslim name. Dilbar, another strange Muslim name. Nitin, another strange Muslim name. Unknown. Hashim Ali. Gonda. Vinod, another strange Muslim name. Kabir Nagar. Istayak. Karawal Nagar. Alok Tiwari. Wow. Dinesh. Rahul Solanki. Jamaluddin. Suleiman. Muhammad Furqan. Faizan. Irfan. Ankit Sharma. Babbu. Shah Muhammad. Salman. Muhammad Shahnawaz. Deepak. Muhammad Mubarak Hussain. Pravesh. Muhammad Mudassar. Ashfaq Hussain. Shahbaz. Akil. Hahid. Sharif Khan. Amir Khan. Naresh Saini. Zakir. Shahid. Arshad Raza. Aman. So immediately you can see that there is when you look at the list of the victims of the violence, immediately you can see that there are plenty of Hindu names in here as well. If this was a pogrom carried out by Hindutva nationalists in cahoots with the police, why would there be so many Muslim victims? Hindu victims, I'm sorry. Why would there be so many Hindu victims if it was just a genocide caused by the Hindutva government? Because it wasn't. Because what the Delhi riots was a culmination of a disinformation and a radicalization campaign which resulted in large-scale violence in Delhi during Donald Trump's trip, which was something that was also pre-planned. For 3 months before the Delhi riots, you had a group of people that had illegally blocked national roads, which again is not their right. They were chanting Hinduo se azadi. They were chanting Jinnah wali azadi. They were chanting, there were some overnight sensations that had been created, the so-called Jamia Shiros that Barkhadat had gotten, and she had done an interview with them. She had taken photographs with them. She had really gone and supported these people. And these same Jamia Shiros had then called for jihad in India. They had called for the killing of non-believers. They had supported the people that had carried out the brutal Mopla massacre of Hindus in Kerala. On the other end, there were also other stars of these protests, people like Sharjeel Imam, who had supported Chakka Jam throughout the country, who had called for a Chakka Jam throughout the country, who had urged Indian Muslims to take to the streets and forcibly cut off Assam from the rest of the country. There were many videos that were shared, I believe around that time as well, which had showed preparation for the Delhi riots as well. There were many videos where people were collecting sticks, people were collecting weapons, people were collecting petrol bombs. In fact, there was an Aam Aadmi Party leader who was accused of helping people plan these riots in advance as well, because petrol bombs and bloody gulails were found outside of his goodness gracious, on his roofs as well. So let me share the article so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about here as well. Here it is. This, I believe, is from Op India right here. There it is right there. So this is the video emerges showing how people engaged in pre-riot preparations before going on a rampage. So there's a thread here by Divya Kumar Soti, which was basically a video which is showing pre-riot preparations in the neighborhood. All age groups are involved, and there are multiple videos of the same. They're using oil and salt mixture on their faces to mask their identities. They're using empty sack full of bricks and stones to distribute among others. Clearly, there was an aspect of, or there was a level of pre-planning to these things as well. And as far as talking about these Jamia Shiros, here we go as well. Apologizing to Yaqub Menon, calling for jihad, calling for la ilaha illallah, supporting people that committed the atrocities against Hindus. This is where we are at. But again, none of that stuff is getting discussed in this video by Mr. Mehdi Hasan, because discussing any of these videos will completely destroy his case. Oh my God, this is such a bad video, dude. Seriously, this is such a bad video. All right.
Trump, of course, embraced Narendra Modi. He rolled out the red carpet for him to massive fanfare at the Howdy Modi rally in Houston, Texas in 2019. And a year ago this month, Trump happened to be in New Delhi as Hindu nationalist mobs and police attacked and killed Muslims protesting against the citizenship law. But Trump didn't offer one word of condemnation. The thing is, Obama, to his shame, was hugging Modi long before Trump arrived on the scene. So the question is, what will Joe Biden do? He said in his big foreign policy speech today that American diplomacy has to be about defending freedom and upholding universal rights. But it's easy to call for that when you're discussing adversaries like Russia or Iran. What about when it's a close ally like India? And to be clear, I'm not calling for some sort of anti-India foreign policy.
Oh, really? Then why would you lie so much? If you're not calling for anti-India policy, if you're not trying to dampen India's image in the world, if you're not trying to undermine India's democracy, then why will you lie so much?
Pro-universal rights one.
Of course.
Because I'm the child of Indians.
No
I love
way.
that country, just as I love this country. But it's because I love America and it's because I love India that I fight authoritarianism, whether it's the Muslim extremist variety, the white nationalist variety, or in this case, the Hindu nationalist variety.
Right. Ghanta he hates. So let's be very clear. Ghanta, this guy hates Muslim nationalists. Because if he really hated Muslim nationalists so much, why would you go work for Qatar? Why would you work for an organization that is owned by Qatar? Why would you work for an organization that is not allowed to question the people that own it, that question that government that owns it? Why would you work for a country that supports terror organizations in the Middle East, that publishes deeply anti-Semitic content, that the only purpose of that anti-Semitic content is to sow hatred in the minds of Muslims towards Jews? Why would you work for that? Why would you never question it? Why would you continue to draw a handsome salary from a company like that? Because you don't care. Because you really don't care. You really don't give a crap. That's the only reason. There's no other reason for us. And look, these kinds of videos, these kinds of journalists, this is like the laziest form of propaganda. And the only kind of people that fall for this lazy propaganda are like woke Americans or woke Indian Americans that can't even point out where the hell Punjab is on a map. Those are the kind of people that fall for this level of propaganda. And look, Indians are watching, man. Indians are watching. Indians were watching when the Lynchistan narrative was being spread across the globe. When Indians were seeing lies about India from foreigners who don't even know what these laws are, what these farm bills are, Indians are watching today. And it is basically doubling their resolve to stand behind their elected leader and their elected government. Right? So let me now take a couple of super chat questions from you guys as well, and hopefully I can answer some of them as well. So hold on. I want to hear you guys as well on what you think about this video. What did you think of this video? Did you watch this video before? Did you? And if you watched this video for the first time with me, then I really want to know what your opinions are about this video. And look, actually, hold on. Before I take this some super chats from you guys, I wanna talk about a little bit something else. And that is that I've been hearing a lot about people talk about farmers' protest and how Modi is losing the narrative battle when it comes to the farmers' protest. Because you might have seen recently that a bunch of like uncles, got together, and I think they published a Super Bowl ad. And that Super Bowl ad apparently is talking about the farmers' protest. So let me just show you what exactly it is that I'm talking about. This is the so-called Super Bowl ad that the farmers shared, or that some people shared in America. Uh, but calling this a Super Bowl ad is also not fair, because it turns out that this ad cost about $10,000 and it only aired in the Fresno area of California, right? So calling this ad a Super Bowl ad is basically like the mayor of Jaunpur declaring himself the Prime Minister of India. So this is not a Super Bowl ad, but when this ad came out, I saw a couple of very interesting tweets. I saw people talk about, oh my God, man, India is losing like the narrative battle, and India generally wins the narrative battle, and India is losing its prestige in the world, and all that kinds of general nonsense. Let me read one of these tweets out to you. This is one of the tweets that was shared. New Delhi is losing the global battle of narratives on the farmers' protest issue. To this point, not many abroad are buying its claims of a global conspiracy. This is significant given that India has so often won these battles in the past and has expected to win them too. Another one is here from our very own Brown Sahib outside, Sadanand Dhume. He's sharing a Manu Joseph article which is saying the BJP has the talent of preaching to the converted but not to the rest. Any priest can preach to converts, but it takes a prophet to convert. On why India's ruling party lacks the ability to make the case for its farm laws. Basically, what they're saying is that that BJP does not know how to increase its base. BJP only knows how to preach to its own base. So, first of all, they did the same thing, you might remember, during the Lynchistan issue. During the Lynchistan issue, you had all these celebrities, you had all these foreigners, you had all these Indian and overseas mainstream organizations that were talking about how Hindus and the Indian government is murdering Muslims, and how Modi is losing the narrative that India is a democracy. Indian democracy is failing because of this Lynchistan narrative. India is heading headlong towards fascism because of this Lynchistan narrative. India Spend, that company, had created this hate crime tracker, which ultimately proved out to be completely false, completely full of lies, and eventually it got deleted as well. But every single media organization, whether it's New York Times, whether it's India Today, whether it's Washington Post, whether it's BBC, NDTV, Wire, Scroll, Alt News, all of them shared this Lynchistan narrative. And what was the result of this circle jerk? What was the result of all of these people, while they were busy pleasuring each other on how Modi was losing this narrative battle? What happened in that meantime? In the meantime, the 2019 elections happened. And what happened in the 2019 elections? There was a 16% increase in vote share across two general elections. That's a near 80% increase in the traditional 20 to 21% vote share. Those numbers should astonish people. And right here as well, whoops. If you look at the numbers of who voted for BJP, you will find literally everyone except for Muslims. Every single group. The BJP had increased its vote share across every single group in India, but the most among the poorest. The BJP is called Adani Ambani ki party. The BJP is called the upper caste party, right? But the biggest vote share jump that it saw was among the poorest population, was among the so-called subalterns. BJP secured its highest gains among the rural voters in 2019. In the 2019 general elections, the BJP increased its vote share among every single group apart from the Muslims. And that's obviously the sustained campaign that has been run against the BJP. It doesn't really surprise me that the Muslims have not voted for the BJP yet. First, a certain amount of Hindu consolidation and resurgence needs to happen before the Muslims can be can be not converted, but can be like convinced, is the word that I was looking for. Convinced about the Hindutva project and how they very much have a place in the Hindutva project. A fragmented Hindu society is not convincing anybody. And even during the Lynchistan narrative, people were angry at the lies. And when they saw that so many people were attacking India through lying, through making up these false narratives, it created sort of like a siege mentality in the brains of those Indians when they went to vote in 2019 as well. And even right now, a majority of Indians support these laws. That is why every single political party in India has had a version of these laws. Whether it's Congress, whether it's Akalis, whether it's NCP, every other political party, whether it's Aam Aadmi Party, they have all supported these laws in the past. And even the United States realizes this as well. Because despite Canada ke uncles trying so hard, despite America ke uncles trying so hard, despite Hamari Vidhayak ki Bhatiji ji, she tried so hard to make everything about herself, so people stopped focusing on India. Despite that, there was a recent conversation between the first very conversation between Modi and Biden, and there seems to have been absolutely no discussion of the farmers' protest in the White House readout. So this is the readout of Biden's call with Narendra Modi. And in this readout, you can go check. This has been shared by Aditya Raj Kaul. There's absolutely no mention of the farmers' protest. There's talk about free and open Indo-Pacific, supporting freedom of navigation, territorial integrity, stronger regional architecture, norms around the world, shared commitment to democratic values is the bedrock for US-India relationship. They resolved that the rule of law and democratic process must be upheld in Burma. The leaders agreed to stay close in touch on a range of global challenges and look forward to what the United States and India will achieve together for their people and their nations. And the best way that I can explain this is this tweet by Abhijit Iyer Mitra. All of those people have probably a lot of fire coming out of their asses right now. So this was the result of that entire campaign, right? I can't believe that Mia Khalifa eating gulab jamun sent by Jagmeet Singh and Sasta John Oliver's video did not sway US foreign policy towards India. Unbelievable. Blows my bloody mind. So I think I also think finally, before I wrap up, that there's a good point here about how the government does do its communication. I think the government does have problems when it comes to how it communicates with people. The government needs to do a better job in communicating with people. I've already said that they need to create some sort of a press corps, like a press secretary who comes out every morning and briefs the media, talks to the media, answers this question, that allows the government to get in front of any propaganda that other people might be trying to spread about the government. And look, man, can you imagine if somebody like a Sambit Patra is made press secretary? Can you imagine how much fun that'll be? Sambit Patra is so entertaining. Every morning, people will have something to look forward to when Sambit Patra holds a press conference. That'll be so much fun. They really, really should do it. I really, really believe that people should be doing that. So yeah, people can scream and shout about India losing the narrative war, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters in the narrative war is what the Indian voter thinks, is what the average Indian thinks. And the average Indian believes in the government. The average Indian supports these farm laws. That is why only the farmers of 3 states are protesting. That's exactly why. All right. Let us try to take some super chat questions. I've seen a lot of questions that have come in. Let me see if I can take a few of them. All right, here we go. Kanav has a super chat saying, Sham Bhaiya, you missed the title of the meme in which Kushal's picture is used. It said, the Tarak is strong with this one. Oh yeah, I might have missed it. I'm gonna use. Don't worry, those memes, though, that template is being used a lot, so it's gonna come up again. Milan Barot says, "Why aren't we talking about crypto, bro?" I'm not talking about crypto because I don't know a lot about crypto. That's the reason why we're not talking about crypto too much. Um, Bharat Lagali says, "Mostly peaceful protest. Are those enough quotes?" So this is the tweet that he put out. This is the question that he put out. I'm going to share it on this right here. Mostly peaceful protests. Are these enough quotes? I think those are enough quotes. Yeah, I think those are plenty. Thanks for sharing that, Bharat. Forum Mehta has a question there that I can also share right here. Forum Mehta's question is, or talk to the likes of Mayank Gandhi or Global Parley. The toolkit had nothing but a plan of attack. Absolutely no nuances. Yes, absolutely correct. His numbers are pulled out of his bum. That's exactly what he said. There must be a very large bum to put 200 million people out of. That's a very large bum. Omkar Bhise says 150 million farmers in India and 250 million protesters. Exactly, dude. Where is that number coming? If somebody can point me toward where the hell that number is coming from, I would be very, very happy to take a look. I have no idea where these numbers are coming from. Another question from Omkar. This question is, hey Sham, will this propaganda keep happening since Democrats are in power in the US as well? Will it be possible to implement CAA and NRC without trouble? The CAA is going to get implemented no matter what. CAA is a promise that the government has already made. And if the government backtracks on CAA, then it's going to have huge negative political consequences for the government. So I don't think, no matter who is in power in the United States, I really don't think it's going to have an effect on CAA. NRC is a different matter because I think NRC needs to be polished and NRC needs to be extremely clear about how it's going to deal with the citizenship question, how it's going to determine who is in India illegally, who isn't in India illegally. I don't know if you need a massive campaign to basically throw every single illegal person in India out in one go. The Indian government already has a system where every month it is deporting a certain number of illegal people that are in the country illegally. But that's being done on a smaller scale, and I think that scale is good. What you need to really focus on is making sure prevention is better than cure. So rather than trying to find illegal people and throw them out all in one go, I think what is better to do is establish a better border control, establish better security on the border, spend a lot of money to create better fences and more security, more patrolling on the border, so that less and less people are coming in the first place. I think NRC is slightly more complicated, but CAA, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And as far as will the propaganda keep happening, 100%. Propaganda is not going anywhere. Look, India is a growing economy. And in 10, 20 years, India is going to be a solidly middle income going towards a high income country. So if things go well, if everything keeps going well the way it's going right now, I believe India will be a very big, major player in the world. And so the old saying, more money, more problems. The more successful you are, the more haters you get, so to say. So that propaganda is not going anywhere. I think the government needs to get better at getting ahead of the propaganda. And I think Indians need to create institutions and media bodies and media organizations and companies and successful organizations that are going to be able to, again, fight this propaganda and get ahead of this propaganda as well. So I think that's going to be the strategy going forward. What else do we had? I Akshay Oberoi says, I don't listen to him. I just listen to his brother Patrick Bet David. Who is Patrick Bet David? Is that like a journalist as well? I don't know who that guy is. Is that like a journalist? Um, I don't know who Patrick Bet David is. Vishnu Anil Kumar has a super chat. Vishnu Anil Kumar says, oops, let me see if I can find that right here. Just showing my support. Thanks a lot, Vishnu. I hope you do such rebuttals in the future, which shows how some are spreading misinformation through a misinformation campaign. But that's exactly it. It's any like this video reeks of desperation. It reeks of a guy that wants to attack India for the sake of attacking India. This whole I love India, my parents are from India. Abe ghanta. A lot of Indian mujahideen's parents are all from India. Again, I'm not saying that this guy is Indian mujahideen, right? Before anybody gets their underwear in a bunch. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that making the argument that my parents are from India, which means I love India, that's a very stupid argument. Shri Hari has a comment saying, Shamji, please invite Conrad Ji to talk about the Hindu civilizational issues. He's a true scholar. I agree. He's a true scholar, and he's a very frank scholar, which is something I really enjoy about him. And he rubs people sometimes the wrong way. But I think that's the amazing thing about this guy. Manu Kapil, keep it up, Sharma Ji. Love your show. Jai Hind. Jai Hind to you as well. And thank you, Manu. Anirudh Iyengar, random. Are you a Bhumiyar or a Brahmin? Well, I am from a Bhumiyar family, so make of that what you will. Anish Joshi, don't you think the fact that we're calling it a farmers' protest at all means that they have won the branding war? I mean, I suppose, but they are landowners and not farmers. I do agree with you there. But even in India, even the government was calling these people farmers. So and I don't doubt that there are at least some farmers involved in these protests as well. But I do agree with you. A lot of the people involved are from the dominant Jat caste, and a lot of them are landowners. So in that sense, I suppose yes, there is a disadvantage. But at the same time, I don't know if necessarily people have lost the narrative war, maybe the branding war. Sure, I think that's the question that you've asked. Maybe, yeah, the branding has been wrong, but I still don't believe that the narrative war has been lost, because the narrative isn't set by Delhi and Punjab and Haryana. There are a number of other countries in other states in India as well that will decide what the narrative ultimately is going to be. And a number of farmers organizations from around the country have also come in support of these laws. So I don't believe in this whole idea that the narrative war has been lost just because Mehdi Hasan says that it's been lost. All right, I think that was all the questions, guys. Thank you very much for joining me for this live stream. How many brain cells did you lose watching Mehdi Hasan's video? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comment section down below as well. Thank you again for watching this live stream. This was kind of done on the spur of the moment. I didn't really plan too much before doing this live stream, but I wanted to discuss this live with you guys, and it was fun. So maybe it wasn't as polished, but I hope you still enjoyed. Other than that, guys, thank you very much. We will be back with Thursday's podcast with me, Kushal, and Abhijit. So join us for that one. And if you like this video, if you like the rebuttal, make sure to share it with people as well. I will see you guys for the next episode. And before I go, if you want to join the Patreon Discord community, we have a really cool Discord community going on right now. So if you'd like to join the Discord community, make sure to become a patron, or you could become a member as well to join the Patreon only Discord community. And on the other hand, we also have a general Discord community that I've recently started as well. So if you'd like to join the general Discord community, I will put the invite link to the general Discord community in the video here, in the description of this video here. So you can come join us and have our chat over there as well. So other than that, guys, thank you very much for joining. I will see you for the next episode. And until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you soon. Jai Hind.